August 1993. Okocha picks up the ball inside the opponent's box, toying with goalkeeper Oliver Kahn and the Karlsruhe SC defenders like a cat with string, feinting one way then going the other, jinking left and right, bamboozling the opposition defenders before burying the ball, scoring an extraordinary goal. In that moment, JJ Okocha officially announced himself within European football as an artist of the game, and overnight became a household name across Germany. But where did it all start? Augustine Azuka Okocha, known in the footballing world as JJ Okocha, was born in Enugu, Nigeria on August 14, 1973. As with the origin stories of many of football's greatest icons, Okocha would fashion footballs out of anything he could find: plastic bags, rolled up socks, whatever was on hand, playing for countless hours on dusty local pitches. Speaking of that time, he said, "We played without shoes. I think I had my first football shoe at the age of 12, and it was so uncomfortable. I had to get used to it because I was used to playing barefooted." Following in the footsteps of his older brother Emmanuel, Okocha started his career playing for Enugu Rangers and was quick to shine, exhibiting skill and flair that would come to be known as quintessentially Okocha. But it wasn't until 1990 that a trip to West Germany to visit friend Benebi Numa would go on to change his life. Numa played for the third division side Borussia Neunkirchen, and one day JJ accompanied him to training and audaciously asked to join in. Needless to say, he was quick to impress, and after being invited back for a few more training sessions, Neunkirchen signed up the tricky midfielder. Here, Okocha's creativity and raw talent were evident, and his streetwise flair was appreciated by teammates and fans alike, providing a break from the tactically disciplined football often on display across Germany, even in its third tier. Of course, it wouldn't be long until bigger clubs started sniffing around Okocha, and in January 1992, he made the big leap to the Bundesliga, signing for Eintracht Frankfurt. Okocha embraced the step up in quality and immediately made an impression on the Frankfurt fans with his amazing footwork, dancing around defenders with effortless ease. Yet, it was one unforgettable moment in 1993 that truly shot him to fame, a moment that lives on in Bundesliga history. Confronting Karlsruhe SC, Okocha found himself up against future Germany national team captain Oliver Kahn, a legendary keeper known for his towering presence and ferocious tongue. In an exhibition of pure creativity, Okocha spun through the defence, feint after feint, rolling past Kahn not once but twice, leaving the keeper floundering and the defenders flummoxed. Those 11 seconds of magic before the ball nestled into the net were enough to turn him into an icon overnight. Speaking of that goal, Okocha said, "Even now, people still talk about it. The goal changed a lot for me. It was like the goal that brought me to the limelight in Europe, because it was shown in so many countries." Over the coming seasons, Okocha would score 25 goals and create 18 assists, but after falling out with manager Jupp Heynckes in 1995, being accused of downing tools during training sessions, his days in Frankfurt would prove to be numbered. By the summer of 1996, Eintracht Frankfurt had been relegated from the Bundesliga, and Okocha had just dazzled at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, helping Nigeria to defeat teams like Brazil and Argentina en route to the gold medal. This was enough to pique the interests of the powers that be at Fenerbahçe, who snapped up the Nigerian for approximately €3.5 million. In Turkey, JJ was quick to win over fans' hearts and minds, fueling wider-than-before interest in the Turkish Birinci League, later to be rebranded as the Super League. Here was a player whose flashy style and enticing personality resonated deeply with the Turkish fanbase, and Okocha quickly rose to fame playing in Istanbul. It was at Fener that Okocha refined his legendary free-kick technique. Wearing his red boots, fans would gain accustomed to the league's new set-piece weapon. Amongst many beautiful hits, he notably scored a delightful free-kick in his first season against arch-rivals, Gala, a team which he never failed to score against over his 2 years in Istanbul. His abilities didn't just make him a favourite amongst the Fener faithful, he became an iconic figure across Turkey, fully embraced in his new home and eventually gaining Turkish citizenship, choosing the name Muhammed Yavuz for himself. Discussing this, Okocha said, "I didn't want to change my religion, but I took this name because I know that Muslims love the name Muhammad very much. I accepted this name because it is very sacred and very important to Muslims." We had our facility manager, Yavuz. He was very sympathetic and he made us laugh a lot. I asked him to give me my surname Yavuz. That's why my name was Muhammad Yavuz. The intense popularity in Istanbul, whilst flattering, also came with its downsides, as he was frequently hounded by the press and paparazzi. On one occasion, 2 photographers had been haranguing JJ and his fiancée so intensely that Okocha confronted them before curling a beautiful free hit into one of their faces. After 2 seasons, 32 goals and 19 assists, Turkish delight would turn to fury amongst the Fener fans as it was announced that Okocha would be on the move again, this time breaking the record transfer fee for an African player, when he signed for Paris Saint-Germain for €12.4 million in 1998. Moving to a league with many more global eyes cast upon it, and following France's success in their home World Cup that summer, the transfer to PSG would firmly entrench Okocha as a force to be reckoned within European football. JJ would shine individually at PSG, as well as for Nigeria, leading them to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations in 2000, before losing out to Cameroon on penalties. However, it would prove to be a difficult period for his club as a whole, with PSG failing to mount a significant challenge for Ligue A and generally performing poorly in European competition. Although shortly after signing, PSG won the Trophées des Champions, and then later the Intertoto Cup in 2001, these somewhat lesser trophies may have been added to, with a perhaps stronger accompanying cast. At the back end of his time at the club, on occasion Okocha was able to form a lethal trio with a young Ronaldinho, who he would mentor, and Nicolas Anelka, a rare feast for the success-starved eyes of the fans at the Parc des Princes. However, by 2002, Okocha would be on the move again, incensed by the disrespect the club had shown him in their attempts to reduce the wage bill of their highest earners. The relationship between player and club had frayed, and Okocha would be moving on to pastures new. When JJ Okocha joined Bolton Wanderers in June 2002 as a free agent, his transfer to the Premier League raised a few eyebrows. English football was still transitioning from its traditional Route 1 proper football man type of attitude to the game that still didn't really have an appreciation or patience for the more delicate players in its ranks. Pair that with signing for one of the most meat and potatoes teams, or at least the way in which they were perceived at that time, and we have ourselves a mighty strange-looking transfer. However, although the move appeared like an odd choice for a player of his skill level, Okocha and fellow new signing Yuri Jorkai F quickly made themselves known to be forces within the Premier League, scoring 7 goals apiece and helping Bolton avoid relegation in their first full season. By the next season, Bolton manager Sam Allardyce and his Flair-based alter ego, Sam Allardyce, went on a mission to incorporate more star quality within the squad's ranks. JJ was made club captain for the 2003-04 season following the retirement of Gudni Bergson, and accompanied by new signings Ivan Campo from Real Madrid and Stelios Giannakopoulos from Olympiacos, powered the team through to the League Cup final, where they were unfortunately beaten 2-1 by Steve McLaren's Middlesbrough. As Allardyce continued to add to his squad with internationally recognised veterans like Fernando Hierro and Gary Speed, Okocha and Bolton would finish the season at the dizzying heights of 6th place, enough to earn the club qualification for the UEFA Cup and cement the Nigerian's legendary status at the club and as a Premier League cult hero. Although the next season was due to contain a jubilant European tour for the Trotters, persistent injuries and a notable drop in form saw JJ's contributions on the pitch limited, and when he was stripped of the captaincy for flirting with clubs in the Middle East, his days at the Reebok became numbered. Aware that his playing time would be much reduced, Okocha rejected a contract extension at Bolton, and in July 2007 he signed a lucrative contract with Qatar Sports Club, where he would stay for just 1 season, before heading back to Blighty for a final hoorah with Hull City. Hull would indeed win promotion to the Premier League that season, but with JJ's fitness on the wane, he would only make 18 appearances and was eventually released the following summer, essentially marking his retirement from the game. Given this, 4 years later, everyone was surprised to hear that he'd been announced as an icon player for Durgapur Fox Champions. However, the move to India proved a non-starter, as Bengal Premier League soccer would indeed delay its inaugural season in 2012 and then fold completely the following year before a ball had been kicked, finally putting an end to his playing career. A career in which he dazzled for club and country across 2 decades and, in the words of his PSG teammate Ronaldinho, he made the impossible look easy. A legend of Naughty's Premier League and voted by the Bolton fans as their best player in the modern era, his legacy of flair, magic and fun will live long in the memory of football fans globally. JJ Okocha. So good, they named him twice. Thanks so much for watching. Please do like, comment and share if you enjoyed this one, and stick around for the next video on the Football Documentary channel.